Hello, in this video we're going to look at my Python GitHub workflow. I use Poetry, Pytest and GitHub Actions. And as much as I try to avoid using frameworks, sometimes they actually make your life easier and they cut out a lot of the repetitions. Poetry, you need to install. Pytest, you can just do pip install, and GitHub Actions, you need a GitHub account which you can sign up for a free one. The aim is to automate PyLint, Flake8 and Pytest on each push to a GitHub repo. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to do this on every project going forward, and I want to automate it because I don't want to be doing it manually. So use a set procedure with Poetry to keep each project identically organized, identical structure. It just helps with, you know, where things are each time and you know where to look, and it's a bit more professional. And also it does make it easier to build a project. You can create the build folder if you want to publish something on py.org, which is where you get the pip install projects from. So if you ever want to write your own project that you can install using pip install, this might be a useful thing for you to know. So this is basically the workflow. Yeah, if only it was that simple. Okay, create a repo. It's in black because you do that through the browser. If you don't know how to do that, I'll show you some screenshots and we'll probably do it in a bit as well. So you create an empty repo. Don't create a README. Next, from the command line on your machine, your computer, laptop, PC, whatever you want to call it, clone the repo. So that's just git clone and then the link to the repo, which you get from the web page when you create the repo. Then you issue Poetry new command, which Poetry basically creates the directory structure and some additional files, which will be useful if you ever want to build your package. Then git push. You push your folder back up to GitHub and it updates, and that's when we will look at doing the actions. And once we've done the actions, I'll show you how you can get the nice green badge. Typically on my projects up to now, I've had the cross up there, which looks rubbish, and I've not had the nice green badge. So let's get it a bit more professional. So yeah, demonstration. I'm just going to demonstrate with the aid of screenshots because I want to just show you something that you can pause and refer back to rather than having to keep skipping through the video to get to the good bits. So creating the repo on GitHub, I'm not going to teach you how to sign up for GitHub, but once you've gone on to GitHub and created the repo, you're probably familiar with this screen. So what you do is you get the URL from here. I've already gone in and created a test repo called helicopter. So https github.com, then the name of your account followed by the name of the repo. And yeah, as I say, don't bother creating the README file. So yeah, takeaway from this slide is just you can click up here, you got the copy and paste icon there, so just copy that. Now back in your editor on your computer in VSCode, which I use, or whatever you use, PyCharm, etc., clone the new empty repo. So type git, assuming you've got git installed on your computer, git space clone, and then just Control-Shift-V and it'll paste in what you just copied from the previous slides, what you copied from GitHub. Once you've done that, you can issue, so my repo was called helicopter. I cloned it, and then once you've cloned it, you can do a CD to it, change directory, to the directory of your repo. If you issue tree, you should see that it's empty, so no files. Then this is where Poetry comes in. So Poetry, you need to install. So I'll get to that later on, but basically once you've got Poetry installed, again, you run it from the command line, and Poetry new --src space, and then that's the name of my app, should we call it. So the project's called Helicopter, and then kind of the app, the code that I'm writing, it's gonna be called Heli. So once you've issued Poetry new src Heli, you've got a top directory called Helicopter, and then inside that you've got Heli inside that you've got your source folder and your tests folder. It creates a default test for you. So yeah, you've got tests, source, and they're all inside the folder of your app name, and then your app name is inside the name of your repo. Hope that makes sense. So again, yeah, if you want to just pause it and copy that command. So I'll cover installing Poetry in a bit, but yeah, the instructions are all out there really. If you go to the Poetry website, I'll show you in a second. So yeah, to create a virtual environment is slightly different to normal. So what we've done so far is we've created an empty repo on GitHub, we've cloned it, we've changed directory from the repo name down into the name of the app, so Heli, and that's the level that contains a file called pyproject.toml. Once we're at that level, we can issue the command Poetry shell. So far we've done Poetry new to create a Poetry folder structure, Poetry shell, which creates, you see it here, creates a virtual environment. So yeah, Poetry shell. Just to check you're running a virtual environment, you can issue Poetry env list. But to be honest, if you've got, do you see that? My head's hiding it, but down here I've got a little icon here which I'm running ZSH, so that icon actually shows you're running the virtual environment. Sorry, got ahead of myself here. Where are we? Yeah. So .v and v activated. Right. If you open up your Helicopter, or the name of your repo, open it up, and if you've, like I have, stuck with the src name for your source files, you will just need to come in here and amend the test. So in tests, if you want to check that Pytest is working, you just need to edit your file, the default test file that's created for you, and then you just need to adjust the import path. So as you can see here, I've got src/heli. So instead of the / you need to do src.heli, and then you can just issue the command pytest, and it will run all of the test files. So for it to run a test file, it just needs to have the word test at the test underscore at the start. So Pytest by default will just run every file that's got test underscore at the start. Okay, so GitHub Actions. I'm going to show all this in a minute, but I just wanted to kind of get the theory out of the way, and also then you've got this to pause these screenshots and just kind of get a feel for what's going on. So GitHub Actions within your repo. So we're back on the GitHub site now. GitHub/rggh, which is my username, /helicopter, which is my repo name, and then actions /new. So from the GitHub Actions button on your repo, you end up here. I'll show you this again in a minute. So what we want is this one here, Python application, and then click on configure. So GitHub Actions, then go Python application, configure. If you've got a different, these 6 here, if they're different, just search workflows with the magnifying glass and you should be able to find it. So you just need to search for Python application. Okay, so back in GitHub again, that's your repo. Then you've got a directory called .github, that inside that you've got your workflows. All that gets created for you when you click on that configure button. What it does is it creates a YAML file, and as you can see, this workflow will install Python dependencies, run tests, and lint with a single version of Python. So run tests, that's good. And you can edit this if you want. Bit of a learning curve, so just for this, I'm just going to stick with the defaults. For instance, you can change whether it runs on push. You can also change the distro it runs on, Ubuntu latest. So click start commit. It will start running it for the first time once you've clicked commit new file. And then it will run through all its progress. It will set up jobs, set up Python, install dependencies, lint, test, complete. Once it's done that, you can go up here to the 3 dots, click create status badge, and you get the what is that? Oh, it's the markdown, isn't it? So yeah, and then copy the markdown, and it will give you that badge. But well, obviously you need to copy the markdown and paste that markdown into your README file. So yeah, that's the theory out of the way. So let's now go to what I've actually got on my screen, which is what I took the screenshots from. So as you can see, yeah, that's what I was talking about. The little that's flashing, isn't it? The little icon there, which shows that you're in a virtual environment. If I do exit, it's running really slowly. I don't know if my display adapter's got a problem. I think it's because I'm running OBS as well. It's taxing my poor old laptop a little bit too much. So yeah, I'm using VSCode, but if you use PyCharm or whatever editor you want, you'll still get the same folder structures. You'll still see something very similar. The only difference is you might not see all the pretty folder icons. And also with VSCode, you've got the little chemistry sort of, I don't know, glass vessel thing. You've got testing, Pytest discover. I don't know why that's failed. It is a bit flaky, this built-in Pytest thing with why is that failed? Oh, we'll get to that later. That's in my previous video I had that working, so yeah, I'll go back and watch that, and maybe you will too. Right, let's what I want to do, so after I quit it, you see how I've not got the blue sign there anymore, so it's not running the virtual environment anymore. What I'm going to do is cd to cd. I'm going to delete rm minus rf helicopter. Gone. So that's wiped out. That's blown away that project. Right. let's call it a new name just to just for the sake of doing this. So yeah, what was I going to say? If you want the installation notes for Python-Poetry, go to python-poetry.org and you get the installation notes to install on OS X, Linux, Windows, whatever you want for your system requirements. So it doesn't support 2.7 or 3.5. Yeah, it's all there to read, python-poetry.org. Yeah, so meanwhile, back on GitHub, let's I'm going to delete helicopter because that's just a test one. And yeah, there we go, passing. Let's just delete that then. And then what I will do is I will create a new repo. And whilst I'm doing this, I'm just thinking what I'm going to call it. Yeah, I've got to copy and paste that into. Right, gone. So let's create a new repo, and we'll run through all this again as kind of I showed in this, the fascinating slideshow. We're going to run this again. So let's call the repo sport, and create repository. Notice I didn't click add readme. So now I've got the link which I can click on the two little clipboard things there. So I'm on the command line within VSCode. Let me just close VSCode and open it from scratch. Just show you. It's like a magician showing that there's no. I haven't got a rabbit up my sleeve or anything. I do know it's running. It does run a fraction slower now. Now I'm using ZSH as my default shell, but it's worth it. So git clone, and then Control Shift V on Linux. I don't know what it is on Windows. So there we go. Warning: you appear to have an empty repository. So as you can see from the little blue thing, I'm still in my home directory, so now I'm going to cd to sports. And if I do tree, no files. So this is where I do poetry, new --src, and what should we call it? Let's call the project, or the app, let's call it Jousting. So the repo is called Sport, and then the project's called Jousting. And then if I do tree, this is what, do you see what poetry's done for me? It's created PyProject.toml, README, SRC folder, tests folder, and it's created an initial test file called test_jousting. So then we do, is it poetry shell? And that will put me into a virtual environment. No, I need to go in, I need to drop down a level, don't I? So cd to jousting, and then run poetry shell. Yeah, that's kind of a bit of a gotcha. You need to make sure you're at the right directory level for the poetry shell command to work. So now we're running a virtual environment. We've got our tree structure. Right, let's just, I'll just show you what happened with the test as well, because if I run Pytest, it should give me an error. Yeah, it says module not found. So if I come up here and Oh, it's VSCode remembers the folder. I need to open folder. I need to open a new folder, or point it at the new folder, which is called Sport. Yeah. And it all reopens. And let me just bring up the command prompt again. This is apologies. It's running a bit slow. It's because of my recording software. So Pytest, and you'll see that fails. And what you need to do is go into tests, and you just need to amend this. So what I need to do, instead of it being in jousting, it's actually, I need to go up a level. So if I do src, it should go purple. Yeah. So when it goes purple, it means that the path's valid. So if I run that, that's still not looking good. But if I go, there we go, it's worked. So yeah, you just need to be aware of the directory structure. So because the test file was in a different directory to my source code, you just need to tell it how to navigate back up to source, and then it needs to know where the source folder is, basically, where the so let's just make a hello world as well. So within the jousting folder, let's create hello world.py. Sorry about the W. Right, so now we can do git add dot to add everything. Then we can do git commit -m first commit. Good, so you can see it's committed all of the files, including the hello world file, which is good. Because what if I hadn't done that, it could just have said there was nothing to push. So now if we do, I've already set up my SSH keys between this PC and GitHub. If you've not done this before, you'll need to set up an SSH key, do SSH keygen SSH on your Linux or Mac machine. I don't know what it is on Windows, Google it. You set up your SSH key, and then you copy your SSH key to GitHub, and then that means you can get a secure connection between the two. And as we can see, it's writing 16 objects. So at the moment, this was a blank repo, so it had all the start instructions. If I just refresh this, you'll see I've got jousting, which is the subdirectory of sport. So if we go back up to sport, sorry, inside sport we've got jousting, and inside jousting we've got src jousting tests. There may be a way how to, strictly speaking, you don't really need src jousting inside sport, but potentially you may if you had, for instance, I don't know, hockey or football or fishing or something inside sport. So, or if you had some other, this path skips through the empty directories. That should not be empty. No, that was just I think a generic warning or generic message. Right, so actions, and as per the informative slideshow from earlier, Python application. So if you're watching this in a year's time and it's not second row down in the middle, then you just need to search for. In fact, let's just search for that anyway. Just see it in a different, see how we would find it if it wasn't already listed. Oh, there we go. So we've got PyLint, that's just going to lint it, and that tests and does the linting. So yeah, click configure. That's creating the YAML file as already discussed. So it runs on push, pull request, jobs, build. I think probably the best thing to do is yeah, read the manual on this. So it's running Flake 8, test with Pytest. Wow, Flake's got a lot more. Count, select, show source. Yeah, don't begin to know what all that is, but it's put it in there for us. So it's just getting all the requirements needed to install Flake and Pytest. Yeah, so that's kind of GitHub generate that for you. So just click Start Commit, commit new file, and it's made the YAML file. So now if we go back up to the top, and you see you've got a little beige coloured dot there. There we go. Some checks haven't completed yet. If you click on details, you can then go and see the progress. So this is live, and that's nice and quick. It's run all those tests, including the test with Pytest. So it ran the test_jousting Pytest file. If you want to see some better Pytests, then I did a video called Pytest parameterized, something like that. I'll put the link in the description. You can look at that, where I used some parameters. Use kind of like A, B, and then expected, where expected is the expected result, and then you can do some assertions using that. So right, what I want to do next is yeah, I just want to show you where you get that wonderful badge, create status badge. Copy status badge markdown. Once we've done that, we'll go back, change the code, or add some more code to the project, and then we'll come in and we'll just check if the Pytest in the lint ran automatically, which hope, fingers crossed for the sake of this video, it did. There we go. So add a README. And just paste that code in there and commit. And we will get the green badge because it's successfully passed once. Now because I've updated the README, it's running the test again, so now we'll get the second test. What I need to do then, once this test is completed, we'll pull. There we go, we can see everything that's gone on. Run again, go back to sport, just check that it's still passing. There you see that ran 31 seconds ago. So now what we need to do is we need to do git pull, and that will get the newer version, and you can see it's pulled down the app.yaml file and the readme file. You see those two there? I need to get highlighting working on my color settings, don't I? So next, print updated file for another test. Right, so we've updated our file. Let's do git commit -m2. I need to get no changes. I had to use git add. I need to re-add it, don't I? Git add. There's probably a better way of doing this, but just for the sake of this video, oh, no, don't want to do that. Quick. Right. Use git. Let's do git commit -a then. File name to write. I'm not used to nano, I've forgotten it. Control O, right. Oh yeah, then we need to exit it. Okay, I've always just, yeah, when I've not been making videos and trying to show off, I've always just done git add and then the full stop. But one file change, 3 insertions, 1 deletion. Okay, so git commit and then -a. Right, so that's updated git locally. So then we just do git push. And it's updated 3 remote files now, hopefully. And if we go to, if we need to refresh, yeah, let's refresh this and we should see that, yeah, it's in progress. So that is good because we expected that, because we were expecting another progress check because we've just done another push. Succeeded now in 12 seconds. That may have been from last time, I'm not sure. You see up here the mustard coloured circle is still spinning. This workflow is currently running. I guess it depends on how many other people are using it. Don't know. What, maybe it's faster if you pay, if you get the paid GitHub version. Does anybody use GitLab? I've heard good things about it. Or Bitbucket. It's still running. Just going to do a refresh on this. There we go. I don't know if did I need to refresh it, or I don't know, but either way it's worked. And it might be that it just completed. It said 1 minute ago. Right, so if you didn't already have the badge, there you would go and create the badge as previously discussed. So let's go back to the top. And I wonder what happens if you click on that green icon. Oh, there we go. So here we can see that was the commit called number 2, and we can come in and see the diff, which will it show the diff? No, that's showing the tests. 3 minutes ago and 11 minutes ago, yeah, you see. So hello world, which was the one that changed most recently. Okay, around the circles now. I just wanted to see the diff, but don't worry about that. A history, sorry. View commit details. Okay, so if you click on the commit part, it actually shows you what happened, but yeah, let's show the commit details. That's what we want. Sorry. I don't really use the GUI for GitHub that much. No, I haven't done up until now. So no new line at end of line. There we go, you can see no new line at end of line, changed file with 3 additions, 1 deletion.